Well, we're following a shocking case in California, a retirement home now defending a nurse who refused to perform CPR on an 87-year-old woman who collapsed and stopped breathing. Here's the 911 call where you can hear the operator frantically pleading with the nurse to save the woman's life.
We need to get CPR started. That's not enough. Okay.
Yeah, we can't do CPR.
Okay, then hand the phone to the passerby. Anybody there can do CPR. Give them the phone, please. I understand if your facility is not willing to do that, give the phone to that passerby, that stranger that had that. This woman's not breathing enough. She's going to die if we don't get this started.
I don't know where he is, but he's yelling at me and saying that we have to have one of our other residents perform CPR and so instruct, and I'm not going to do that.
You're going to let this lady die?
Well, that's why we're calling 911.
We can't wait.
He's saying we don't, so you can talk to my boss, and
Okay.
I don't know.
They're refusing CPR. They're going to let her die. As a human being, is there anybody that's willing to help this lady and not let her die?
Phone call, right? How could this happen? What recourse does this woman's family have? There's a nurse that's not providing CPR, and she's dying there on the floor. Let's get our legal panel in on this. Brian Silber is a trial attorney and defense attorney. Chip Merlin, also a trial attorney as well. So, Brian, is the nursing home liable for this death?
Well, we have to see what the evidence tells us. First of all, let me say, on a personal note, I think the way this nurse conducted herself is morally reprehensible. That said, we now have a question of law, and when I analyze this case, I see two overwhelming issues. Number one, what is the cause of death? In other words, did the failure to deliver CPR actually cause or contribute to this woman's death? And the thing that comes to my mind is, what if she had this massive brain aneurysm that caused her to bleed out internally, where CPR wouldn't have made any difference?
But they didn't try anything, though, Chip. I mean, they didn't do anything. They just let her lay there on the ground, and they said, we have to wait for the ambulance.
If you listen to the tape very carefully, they even refused to go get somebody who would volunteer that could help out and possibly get the CPR that could have saved the person.
The 911 operator was like, get a stranger off the street and give them the phone and have them do CPR. And they wouldn't do it.
The 911 operators are trained that if somebody's not willing to do it, to ask for another volunteer. And indeed, we have Good Samaritan laws throughout the states to protect rescuers who come and volunteer to follow these procedures, to give the compression, to give that person who's in the emergency to help out. And they have those laws in California.
Okay, wait.
They
Brian,
have them in California, even for nurses.
Brian, you say that doesn't apply here?
That's correct. You need to look at California Health and Safety Code 1799.102, which explicitly takes out anybody who's given compensation from the Good Samaritan protection. And as an independent living facility with a paid nurse on staff, they get compensation. So they would not be protected by the Good Samaritan law.
So, Brian, if I could, you're saying that this nurse wouldn't be protected under that law if something went wrong when she was trying to aid this woman, and that's why potentially this place where she's employed will not allow her to do that.
Sadly, that's my suspicion. And I believe that this company saw itself stuck between being an independent living facility, which is basically a retirement home. These people aren't patients. And then, of course, having the issue of what if, what do we do? So they put it on 911.
Okay,
Call for the professionals to come and help.
Chip, let me read to you their statement, because they do have a statement, Glenwood Gardens, that talks a little bit about their policy. They say this: in the event of a health emergency at this independent living community, our practice is to immediately call emergency medical personnel for assistance and to wait with the individual needing attention until such personnel arrives. That is the protocol we followed. Chip, you had something interesting in your notes, though. You said that there is a fine print that we should all know about if we're having a relative at a facility like this. What is it?
In their advertising, though, if you look at it, they advertise that they have trained caring staff available, and anytime they need assistance by request or otherwise, that they will get it right away. That's in the advertising. Yet when the senior citizens come there, in the small contract, it's sort of a bait and switch. And what they do is they have them sign a contract, say, if you're an independent living facility, we're not going to provide anything. They advertise and promise one thing, but then when they have them sign the small print, it's another. And that's what they're relying upon in this particular case.
Brian, to Chip's point, should they not have a nurse on staff then? Is that where there's a big problem here? Because if it was a receptionist calling in and saying, listen, I can't do CPR, would this be a different story?
Well, essentially what they're saying is, I think Chip is taking it out of context respectfully. They have a person who's present who can facilitate the getting of help that's necessary, kind of like a fire alarm that calls the fire department or a burglar alarm that might call for the police. They have a nurse on staff that says, uh-oh, such and such happened, let's go get medical assistance. And I think they are living up to that end of their advertising.
Chip, final thought here. The daughter of this woman is a nurse and has publicly said she doesn't have any problem with the care that her mother received. So at this point, is it over? Is that just it? This woman died and there was no one to help her?
The wrongful death statutes, only provide it back to the surviving individuals to bring the action. So if there is no lawsuit, there's no lawsuit. But it doesn't mean that people should not go back and look at this particular case. This is an important situation. People need to know that they can go and volunteer and help out and not worry about getting sued. Do the moral thing, do the right thing, save somebody, at least give them the chance.
It's a good way to end it there, Chip. A good message for us to think about today. Brian and Chip, thank you for your expertise as always. Nice to have you.
Thank you.
A Fox News exclusive. Governor and Mrs. Romney speak out for the first time since the election. What they